All right, good afternoon. It is exactly 4 p.m. East African time here in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for keeping it TV47. You're just in time for news now at 4 p.m. with I, Sheilar Chelangat. But first, the highlights. The highlights. President William Ruto has hosted leaders and business people from Siaya County at State House, Nairobi. The president has reaffirmed the government's commitment to advancing development projects in Siaya and across the country. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi calls for the expediting of the process related to reforms in the United Nations Security Council. And the National Police Service launches an intensified anti-corruption strategy under the stewardship of the Office of the Inspector General in a bid to curb corruption in the service. All right, thank you for joining. 15 minutes of this bulletin begins now. President William Ruto today hosted a delegation of leaders from Siaya County at State House, Nairobi for a consultative meeting. The team led by Governor James Orengo discussed key development issues affecting the region. The meeting is also seen as a signal towards improved relations between the president and the opposition-leaning county. Among those present were Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi and former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuju. And elsewhere, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called for an expedited process to reform the United Nations Security Council. Speaking during the 13th ministerial meeting of the Africa Union's Committee of 10 in Lusaka, Zambia, Mudavadi emphasized that despite some gains, Africa remains marginalized in global security decisions. The Committee of 10 is mandated to lobby for a permanent African presence at the United Nations Security Council.
For 20 years now, we continue to have this conversation. And yet this year, the United Nations was celebrating its 80th anniversary. And the whole process of reform still continues to linger on. The first round when they incorporated members to the Permanent Security Council was at the very beginning. Then in the 60s, they made some adjustment. Africa was left out. And to this date, Africa has not had any representative within the United Nations Security Council on a permanent basis.
So for 20 years as a global community, but also as the African continent, we've been speaking about reform of the Security Council based on the common African position.
The foreign ministers who have gathered here in Lusaka have adopted what is called the Freetown outcome. The Freetown outcome includes the African model on UN Security Council reform, an aid memo and a roadmap for engagement, and common African language that will be used in terms of promoting the common African position and building consensus on it as the C10 was mandated.
And to matters higher education, Moi University's decision to lay off nearly 900 employees has been challenged in court by staff unions, including UASU. Speaking at an international conference on human resource management organized by the university and Vendi University, Vice-Chancellor Professor Kiplagat Kotut defended the decision, citing deepening financial troubles. He said the move, though difficult, was necessary for the survival of the institution.
Guidelines on workplace mental wellness.
We are going through this process of trying to restructure the university so that we have a situation where what we receive in terms of income is enough to take care of our expenditure. It's as simple as that. We are trying to do that balance. That means we are trying to see how to enhance efficiency, how to utilize technology to do some of the things that work for us, and how to make sure that this important resource also is taken care of.
Elsewhere, Kenyans have been urged to remain united and shun tribal politics that could lead to chaos and violence. Speaking during an empowerment program in Kitui County, Farouk Kibet warned against politicians who incite tribal sentiments for political gain. He added that such divisive tactics threaten the peaceful coexistence of communities.
Na pia mjihatari, kuna marafiki wengine hamtakikani kukaa karibu naye. Yule mkabila ambaye alifukuzwa na wabunge si wajinga. Members of parliament are not foolish, the way he calls them foolish. He's the biggest idiot in this country, and we must tell him, ameingia, huyu mjamaa ya ukabila ameingia hapo ndani, ameanza tabia ingine ya kusema expert. Mmesikia maneno expert nyinyi? Wanataka kuleta matatizo. Nyinyi watu hapa Sombe, nyinyi majirani ambaye mnakaa hapa, amani ni kitu mzuri ama mbaya? Kwa tu tunataka tukifika kule, sisi tu tuwadanganye, tuwaambie Kasongo must go. Tuwaambie Ruto must go. Mimi naambia shetani afanye namna gani?
And away from that, Director of Urban Development Lillian Kieni has revealed that the State Department for Housing, in partnership with the Treasury, is developing a National Urban Development Fund. The fund is intended to finance cities and municipalities amid Kenya's rapid urbanization. She was speaking ahead of the upcoming second Kenya Urban Forum to be held in Naivasha in June 2025. The forum aims to address issues including waste disposal, transport management and urban planning. World Bank senior urban economist Carlos Major underscored the importance of well-planned cities as engines of growth.
At the moment, the country's population that is within the urban setup is about a third of the population, of the national population, which is about 31%. And our growth rate is at 4.3%, which is quite high. And as a country, we need to manage this urbanization. It has been said that by the year 2050, half of the population will be living within the urban areas. So the question that begs is, are we ready for these, to accommodate this huge population within our urban areas?
We also have refugee management, and this sector we are calling it forced displacement. Under the second Kenya Urban Program, we have an objective of integrating refugees and host communities so that we see how development can be sustainable in that way.
As the world's largest multilateral financier in urban development, so we are proud as the World Bank to support the second Kenya Urban Forum organized by the government of Kenya, and also finance investment in Kenyan cities to make Kenyan cities more livable, inclusive and
And away from that, Meta's Vice President for Accessibility and Engagement, Maxine Williams, has praised Kenya's role as a digital innovation hub and reaffirmed that access to technology is both a moral obligation and an economic opportunity. Speaking during the 6th Inclusive Africa Conference, Williams stressed the need for tech solutions to be designed by those most affected. The conference brought together innovators, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and disability advocates to promote accessible technology across Africa. Natalie Koasi Akon, Global Director for the IFC, called for stronger collaboration amongst government, industries and civil society to advance inclusive innovation and responsible AI development.
Because when we build with accessibility in mind, we unlock opportunity, we widen the path, and we get closer to a world where everyone has the tools and access to fully participate. Accessible tools are tools that are usable and valuable. More than 1.3 billion people around the world live with a disability of some kind. That is 1 in 6 of us. And yet, in far too many places, people with disabilities are excluded from the digital tools, services, and spaces that shape daily life.
Nearly 80% Kenyans living with disability in rural areas don't have access to technology, connectivity, or the financial tools. When business design products, platform, and service, with access in mind, whether in education or employment or even as in entrepreneurship. They don't just unlock opportunity for people with disability. They generate economic growth for all.
And there's a growing call for the Ministry of Education to prioritize renovation of Kericho Teachers Training College, one of the country's oldest institutions still operating with nearly a century-old infrastructure. Speaking during the college's 56th graduation ceremony, Board Chair Sami Kirui described the state of facilities as dire and urged the government to allocate funds for urgent upgrades.
On behalf of the Board of Management, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to our graduates for their dedication, perseverance, and achievements. Kericho Teachers College stands as one of the oldest and most respected public training institutions in Kenya. Over the years, while we have seen tremendous growth, we also acknowledge that some of our infrastructure is in urgent need of modernization to align with the evolving competency-based education. As a board, we have taken significant steps to improve the college's infrastructure, but much more remains to be done. We appeal to the Ministry of Education to increase the funding for infrastructural development so that we can modernize our facilities and effectively deliver the CPE diploma course. Without
And in the world of sports, Kenya's national women's team, the Harambe Starlets, suffered a heavy 5-1 defeat against Morocco in an international friendly match held on Wednesday night in Tangier. The Atlas Lionesses, who ranked 60th globally and 3rd in Africa, dominated the game against the 142nd ranked Starlets. The match served as preparation for the upcoming Sekafa Championships set to kick off on June 12th in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
At least mmetupangia kitu ya kufanya, so na believe tuko like tuna learn
cheza zote, na pia ya leo kwa team naweza sema tumelearn a lot kulingana na timu yetu, bado tunaibuild, so wenye wamejoin team wamelearn, so itatusaidia kwa game yenye iko mbele yetu. At least hiyo naweza sema imetusaidia a lot. Federation wazidi kutupa hata friend lingine, bado tuko hapa kulearn. Football ni kulearn.
And the national men's football team Harambe Stars is still in Morocco to face Chad in 2 friendly matches scheduled for June 7th and 10th in Marrakesh. Head coach Benny McCarthy says the matches are part of the team's preparation for the 2024 African Nation Championship CHAN. All right, that concludes News Now at 4 p.m. with I, Sheilar Chelangat. Do enjoy the rest of your viewership. Good afternoon.